Hello, welcome to Rob's Gaming Table. I'm Mel, and today on the channel I will be painting some minis from the board game Euthia. I'm super excited to paint these minis so we can get this game on the channel this weekend. I have started painting some of the minis, so they're kind of in different stages of process. So hopefully I can show you how I do different things in the process, which will be cool. So welcome. Thank you to everyone that is here live and to everybody that is watching later. Hello, hello. Jonathan, hi. Sajat, hello. Hope everyone is doing well. I think I'm going to get right down to the table so we can start painting and we can kind of chat while we paint and everything. But I have lots to go over and show you, so let's start with that. Okay, so first things first, I really like these minis. They're larger than the other minis that I'm painting. I just finished painting Lord of the Rings minis. So I wanted to show one just as kind of like a comparison in size. These ones are really big, which is awesome for painting. Also for newer painters, right? Because there's more surface area, there's less fine detail. So it's really fun and really easy to paint these kind of minis, which is awesome. So I have started by, basing 4 of the characters so far. So these just have base coat paint on them. And what I want to do is paint these other 2 and wash and hopefully dry brush these guys on stream so that we have these 4 that are painted fully done. And then these 2 will attempt to base and then wash and dry brush as long as we have time. I have also started the Griffin with base. So again, I have not done the actual base, or I have not done any wash or dry brushes on anything. All of the characters and this big guy was primed in just a plain, like a matte white primer. This dragon, Rob kindly primed him red to make it easier for me. Then what I did was I have a red ink, and I kind of filled in like wherever there wasn't, you know, how sometimes when you prime, there's like a little missing spots, maybe like underneath or whatever. So I took a red ink and I kind of quickly painted that so that it's all one color and all even. And I don't know the color, I'm so sorry, of the Griffin and what color he was primed. But the other thing that I have done so far is I also just took a black ink to this guy. I wanted just to kind of get all in the crevices. I want to make him kind of look like a rock, so I do want to dry brush him a lot with a white or a gray to make him not so dark. But I did kind of take an ink and kind of get in all of the recesses and just kind of base him with that so that it wasn't so like a matte color. That was in my head what I was going for. But we're going to focus on these guys too and do the full paint of these guys so you can kind of see the process of everything. Sorry, that was a long ramble. Hello, hello. I am not a teacher of painting. I'm not, I don't think that I am, but I'm happy that you guys are here hanging out with me while I just paint today. It's been a while since the last one, so sorry for my nervousness. But yeah, if you have any painting questions, you can ask them in the chat, and I will try to answer, or somebody in the chat might be able to answer. I know in the past we've had tons of people that have given great tips in the chat, which has helped me and other people as well. Also, if you have any tips that you want to leave me, if you're watching later, you can leave them in the comments, and I will definitely read them and respond to you as well, because I am definitely still learning on a lot of the steps. A lot of the steps I just kind of do trial and error. I kind of look at a picture and see if I think I can figure out how to do it. And then I also watch YouTube videos or Google figuring it out how to do myself. So again, not a teacher, but I do enjoy painting. So yeah. So the 2 characters that I'm going to paint for you, I will show you what I'm kind of going for. So one second here, let's go here. This is one of the characters that I'm painting. So this is kind of what I'm using as my reference. When I paint characters for any games that we play, I try to stay true-ish to the art of the character. And that's for streaming purposes as well. So it's easier for you guys to see it on stream and know the character. If I just kind of take liberty with it, it might get confusing on who is who when you're actually looking at the stream itself. So this is one of the characters that I'm painting today. And then the other one is this guy. I'm just looking at him with this and thinking about this fire. I don't know where we're gonna do that, but we'll see if we can make some portion of him fiery. And then let's look. I'll also show you, actually, while I have this, I will show you. No, we'll wait on that. We'll wait till we do it. So these are the two that we're going to be painting today, as well as kind of finishing up the other characters. So we'll pull those guys up of kind of the inspiration for them as we're finishing them up and touching them up. Awesome. Dan says, absolutely no reason to be nervous. You're awesome. Glad you're back. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am nervous. You can probably tell, but that's okay. Trying to get over it. Reese, good morning. Hello. Richard's saying, have you a preferred brand of paints? I do not. I originally started with a set from Army Painter, so that is mainly what I'm using, but I have purchased individuals. You know, when you go into the paint store and you just see the wall of paints, I have purchased individuals of Vallejo and AK paints. I have a few of that brand as well. So I don't really have a preference. I don't think I have enough knowledge of the differences to decide, but I have those three, but mainly Army Painter is what I'm using. So I will start. I think I'm going to start with this girl. And when I start, I usually start with all of skin or things underneath. I don't know if that's the smartest way to start, but that's kind of the way I start. And then I kind of keep building up. And then if I make a mistake, I can go over it later. So I think I'm going to start for the skin. I'm going to start with this, this Corpse Pale for her. Quick look at the ones I've already done. Yes, of course. Sorry, yes. So these guys have all just been, again, just base coated. We have no dry brushing, no washing, no finish on them yet. So we'll do that later. I just want to start getting some paints on these guys so that things can start to dry. I think this guy was my favorite one to paint. Kind of like a little dwarf. I love the size of these. Again, I know I already said that, but I love the minis that are a little bit bigger. They're a little bit easier to paint. And then this is the Griffin that I started. He was kind of fun. Also easy. He was not too difficult. So we'll do some fun stuff with the dry brushing to try to pop these wings out and make them look a little bit nicer, as well as the body of the bird. Can I walk you through the preferred brushes? I don't know if I have a whole bunch of different brushes. I got a set. Let's see. Mondrian, I think is Mondrian. So I prefer the smaller size brushes myself. I don't feel comfortable using the, some of these are ruined, don't mind them, because I use them for mixing and all that stuff. But I don't tend to use these bigger brushes. I tend to use the zeros and the 00 or the 000, and that's myself. So I usually use like this bigger one for mixing paints, and then I use all these smaller brushes. Unless I'm painting something that maybe like the Griffin, I'll use a bigger brush on like the wings just to get it done faster. But because I'm a little more meticulous and flow, I guess, as a painter. I do have a few Army Painter brushes as well. They're older, and I have just makeup brushes that I got just from the dollar store for dry brushing. And I found this pack and they had different sizes and different angles, which is perfect for getting in sometimes to like under spots. Sometimes the bigger brushes are harder to dry brush in there. So I found these smaller angled brushes are really helpful for that. So those are the brushes that I'm using. Again, a lot of the smaller brushes. But I don't know that it, I mean, you can use whatever you like. And hopefully with practice, I will get better at using the bigger ones. I do watch some streams where people will use these big brushes, which is like a 7, and they'll paint the tiniest little things with it. And I am blown away because I cannot do that. I need to use the tiniest brush ever. So I have a wet palette here that I purchased. I know in the last stream I think I had made my own, but since then I have purchased one. So I am just adding my paint directly to that. And I like these because first it keeps the paint longer, keeps the paint wet longer. So if I'm doing painting over multiple nights, I then can store the paint till the next day, which is great. And I don't need to add any water. I feel like it thins it out enough. That's another thing that I'm still learning is the consistency of the paint. That is a thing, trial and error, 100%. I don't think I have that down yet, but I do like the consistency of the paint on the wet palette. So that's why I use that. And I find that it keeps, there's just a hair or something on it. I find that it keeps the paints at least for a couple days. If you leave it too long, it will stain the under pad of the, but that's okay. I like painting any skin or under clothes, because usually that's where I can kind of make a mess and get things on any of the robes or dresses or anything, and then I can easily cover it back up with whatever I'm painting on later. I find if I have to do the skin later, I have to try to get the brush in there, and usually I make a mess. So that's usually where I start with painting, but I'm sure there is a lot of different strategies on that. These are really nice minis too. I really like them, the heaviness of them as well. They're not like not a cheap plastic like some others that I've painted. So I really like them. One thing I don't think that when people design minis for board games, I don't think they think of the people that paint them. Right? When they make these areas that are so small your brush can barely even get into. I don't think they think about that. Some of my brushes are separating. When I first started painting, I didn't know how to take care of brushes. This is something that I've learned since. And I didn't know how to clean the brushes. I didn't know how to clean the paint, in between colors. So I ruined a few of my brushes, and you can see, maybe you can't really see, but they kind of split, so they kind of break in the center. I think this one is doing that. So one of the things that I've learned, and I guess something, is when you put your brush in the water to paint it, what I used to do, and I didn't know any difference, was I put the brush in all the way to the bottom and I just kind of swirled it around, so separating all of the bristles. Well, that's incorrect, and it'll definitely ruin some of your brushes, so don't do that. I've learned that lesson. So that's, I guess, one of my tips of something for a new painter. And also cleaning your brushes after painting will help keep them for a long time. She has a necklace on, but I'm just going to kind of go crazy and cover, or the necklace or the piece of her shirt, and then we'll fix that up later, just because it'll be easier. As well as the headpiece that she has on. I'm just going to kind of paint the whole thing, and then we'll paint over it with the color that it is supposed to be, so that we can get the paint all covering the face easier. Just trying to look close to see in between the wrap on the arm and where skin is. And again, when you're doing those kind of spots, if you're doing the skin first, I find you can be a little bit messier. And just try to fix it up later. Just looking quickly to see if I missed anything. It's obvious, and I just see under the arm here. I usually flip the minis all different ways to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so it looks like we got some skin done for this one. I do use brush soap, yes. I don't remember the brand. It's just this pink soap that I got, and I do use that after every session. I don't know if that's what you should do, but that's what I do now. I didn't in the beginning. I didn't really know. I kind of just, wash it with water, hot water, and then get back to it, but it's probably not that good for your brushes. So this guy, I think we might use the same color. Don't have much skin exposed on this one, just some hands and face, so this won't be too bad. These minis too, when we got the game or when we unboxed it, they had the like sun drop effect on them. So technically, if you didn't know how to paint or you didn't want to paint them, these minis came perfect for just opening the box and starting to play, which is awesome. Okay. So I'm gonna go to, I think I'm gonna go to the skirt and skin wrap, the wraps around her arms on this one. So if I bring back, so we're looking at more of like a green and maybe a bronzish color that we need, as well as the head wrap and maybe a little bit of silver on the things on her arms. So let's see. So I have a weapons bronze that we can try and see what that will look like. That's a metallic. It's kind of a darker green. Let's go with this green skin. Let me try that. Are you going to do the tattoos? I don't know. I could try, but they won't look like the picture, that's for sure. But I can try. I can do some kind of red design. I do have, sorry. I do have a paintbrush that is, you almost can't even see it. It has like, I feel like only 2 or 3 little bristles on it there. So I could maybe use that to do something, but we'll see. I don't know. I think also this guy, he has some kind of design around his eye as well, so we'll see. Also, when I paint, I guess terrible to say, but I don't really paint eyes. I'm not that good. I feel like I have shaky hands. Something I'm going to keep practicing, but think I need a smaller brush for what I'm trying to do here. Looks like the centerpiece of her necklace is like a silver, so I'm gonna just pass that and go to the other side. All right, just trying to find an angle because there's a tiny strap here that I want to do. Okay. I do not yet, Reese, have those glasses that zoom in. Rob and I have talked about that before. I think we talked about it as well in another stream. I do not have those glasses, but you know what? They would probably help for some of the minis, especially when I was painting the Destiny's minis that are like this tiny. They were like the size of just this cap. Oh, Dan says, I don't usually paint the eyes either. You can't see the detail anyways. Yeah, I do for some, but it's very, very rare. They have to have large eye sockets, and if they're kind of like all one color. So for example, I'm just gonna come back to this for a second. If they're like this guy, hold on, this. I can paint those kind of eyes. That's fine. It's like one color in the whole eye socket. That's okay. But if I have to do the white and then the pupil, ooh, I don't know. That's very tough for me. But I'm still practicing and still learning for sure. So I'm just taking this shining silver and I'm going to put this as for the necklace. Oh, Dan invested in one and his painting improved immensely once he got one. Oh, I probably should. You're right. You're right. Okay. I'm just going to try to make it so that it's as pointed as I can, because I'm going to try to do this in one motion if I can. Going down the neckline. Both sides. It almost looks like horns coming around the side of the necklace, so I'm just connecting to the top, so just trying to do that. Okay. And then the headpiece. Headpiece was green, so we'll go back to that. I thought it was silver, so we'll try to do all that in one motion as well, right across. I'm shaking while I try to do that. Oh, Brian, goodbye, must go. Thank you, thank you. Have a good evening. Sorry, my hand is shaking while I'm trying to do this part. Okay. Just looking at what else we have that's silver. So it looks like the tip of her blade is silver, so maybe we'll do that, as well as she has some silver outline, but what I'll do, I think, is do the whole arm plates first, and then I'll do the silver outline on that, so that I don't have to try to be neat. Okay, so we are going to try this weapon bronze on the skirt. I'm going to do a small piece, and I want to see the color of this because I also have this greedy gold, which I'm not sure which color I would like to use, but I think I might go with this bronze because I don't want it to be as shiny. Don't put too much out yet because I don't know if we're gonna like this one. I'm just gonna do I think that might be actually okay, and then once I put a wash on it, it'll dull it down a bit. Because I think the right, oops. Yeah, that gold is much more shiny than this metallic. So yeah, we're gonna go with this color. That's fine. With the green and gold, it won't let you down. And then I try to go in the direction of the way that it would flow normally so that it looks natural. Just gonna get a bigger brush for the skirt. And back, because it's a little bit of bigger space, so I do need more paint. This bronze, though, is very thin, so I'll probably do a second coat on it because might not, yeah, it is kind of obvious still on stream, but you can almost see through it still. So we'll let that dry after I do this first coat, and then we'll do a second coat of that just to make it a little bit of a thicker color. I want to be able to see the white through. And then the fun part that everyone knows when painting is trying to get underneath enough so that if you look at different angles, you can see underneath isn't white without making a mess and trying to fit your paintbrush in there. One of the hardest parts. And I probably won't do a second coat underneath because it's just for if we hold it up in different ways, it'll be the same color, but it doesn't have to be perfect underneath because you can't really see it. Okay, so we'll let that skirt dry, and then I'll just do the arms as well because these are the same color. And then we'll do the, once this dries as well, we'll do the silver accents on it as well. Do you need it in here? Do you need it on this side? Can we pause for a sec? Okay. Oh, okay. Rob's just helping get a fan going for me. Yes, thank you, thank you. Tim says, I make it look so easy. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't think it's easy, definitely. But I think it's fun. And I think you just have to try. And practice is key. Getting started is hard. Yep. Definitely. Can't seem to get motivated enough to buy paint and try. I can understand that. Yeah, it's definitely difficult and definitely, but it's definitely fun. Playing with painted minis, whether they're, perfect or not, is better than playing with gray plastic, I think. I'm just fixing up some spots that I got that gold around the arms.
You're right.
I don't think so. Okay. I'm gonna actually do her hair and then I will put her by the fan to dry. So she has a reddish brown hair. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little mixing of colors here. I'm gonna take this pure red, mixing it with whatever my darkest brown is that I have, which would be this oak brown. We're gonna make a reddy brown color hair. Sorry. Oh, these are just what I've used, so I don't know if.
Give like a flow of air.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can actually put them up here though. Okay. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. I'm going to, yes, yes.
While you paint.
Yeah, yeah. I just, yeah. Oh, Dan says, I came to this channel for board games and it got me started on painting. Go figure. That's awesome. That's awesome. How I started painting really was, we originally started painting bases so that on camera you could see who was which color. So we would take whatever the color was that I was, whatever the color Rob was, or whoever else was playing with us, and we would paint them so that you guys would be able to see who was who of the gray blobs of plastic on the board. And then we painted the minis of, I want to say Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion first. I think actually Rob started, and then he was saying that the little mini or something was tough to paint. And I said, oh, let me try, because he said he has shaky hands. So I tried, and then I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. We painted like many, many years ago. We painted some Zombicide just for fun, like with our daughter. But nothing really crazy. And I thought it was fun. But then when we did those, I was like, oh, that's fun. And then I painted the other characters that we weren't playing with just for fun, just because we had all the paints out. I wanted to see how it was. And then it just kind of blossomed from there. Where now almost everything that we play on the channel is painted. I say almost because not everything. I think we played something recently that wasn't painted, and the name is escaping me. this paint is a little bit too thick for what I like, so I'm just going to take a couple drops of water. And again, I just mixed the oak brown and the pure red just to kind of make a brownish red. I don't want it to be full pure red, more of like a brown red. How long have I been painting? Probably just over a year. Yeah, I want to say when it was about summer of last year that I started. I feel like with every game that I paint, I learn a little bit more, or I try something different that I either like or I don't like, and then build from there. Did I prime the minis? Rob primed all the minis for me. He does all of the priming and varnishing and preparing for me because he's amazing. He primed them, the characters in white Army Painter, the dragon in red. I believe it's also Army Painter, but I'm not 100% sure. So he does all of the priming for me. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna let her dry because I want to do the second coat on the dress. You can just kind of see the white kind of shines through. It might be hard to tell with the lights, but you might be able to see it on the camera. The white is kind of shining through the bronze. So I'm gonna put that off to the side, let that dry for a minute. Now, I think what we'll do is moving on to washing, so then we can also wash these four characters, so these guys can then dry, and then we can do some finishing on them, so some dry brushing if needed. Like sometimes it's nice to do the dry brushing on like the fur that's on the boots or the fur that's on the back, and then any kind of highlighting that we want to do on them as well. So the only washes that I own are these Army Painter ones. So I have the soft, the dark, strong, or flesh. And I use them, I'm still experimenting with these, but I try to use, and I think it was also in the chat that they helped me kind of to determine what color, because I looked at all these four colors and I was like, I don't really know what to use with what. So what I've kind of learned is the dark, if you use this, it's really good on weapons, on any silver or bronzes, golds. It's also good if you water it down. It's nice on the blues. So I like that for that. And then I like the which one here? The soft. I like the soft for any kind of browns, lighter brown. So any kind of, like if I'm looking at here, maybe like this brown here, or I don't really know. I don't really have much light brown happening. So maybe I would just not even worry about that. And then I use more of the stronger tone for any of the darker browns or the leathers. So again, we're just going to use a dark tone first. I'm just going to kind of put it on the other side. So I'm going to put a little bit more because we're going to use it on her and on all of the weapons and metal. So this is something that I'm still experimenting with as I try and I paint different games. But so I'm going to start with this guy, and I'm just going to do all of the metal. And what I like to do, again, I don't know, there's obviously correct ways to do it, but I like to kind of put a bunch on, mush it around, and then take a brush and take away what I don't want. So, but again, I'm experimenting as I paint different games. So it will pool in some areas, but then I'll take a brush and kind of clean that all up. And this will just fill in, as you can see, it's kind of like filling in the recesses of the armor plate. And it just kind of adds like definition. All right, and then we'll do just around the waist buckle and so again, it is going to pool, but I'll clean all that up. I just find it easier to move it around that way. Really should put this guy on a peg. Or I'm going to get this all over my fingers. And then it just pooled a lot in these buckles here, or in these little recesses here. So I'm just going to take some out of there along the edge. Okay, and we'll do a piece of the sword. I also, when I paint, I like to paint all of the characters and enemies all being base coated. Then I will take my wash because I will use the different colors in different areas. I then find that I save on the wash because I don't have to keep getting it out for each individual character as I go. So we're going to do all these four using in the different colors that for the different areas of the minis. That's what I tend to do, but again, everybody has their own strategies. So if you have tips on washing, I would love to hear them in the comments or in the chat. Again, if I miss anything, I can go back and watch the live chat later so I can see what you guys are saying, because I'm definitely not paying full attention. I also like washes as well because I find that it can hide some of your mistakes. Okay, so we have all, I think, just some metal around here that we'll do. Okay. I think for this guy, oh, we're going to do all the gold as well, so we'll put this guy on. And then we'll do the same thing, just like on all the gold pieces of his armor. And I'll just take any excess again that right? For her, we're just going to do her belt and boots quick. She'll be quick to do. Actually, I might use this dark on the dress as well. And then for this girl, we're just going to do her staff, I think. I don't think I'm going to worry so much about the gold accents that she has because they're so tiny that maybe I'll just use them. Oh, I'm using the dark wash, but I'm going to water it down a little bit more because I don't want it to be black. So I'm just going to add a little bit over here, like pull some over, and then add some water so it's very, very, very thin. You can see that it's very, very, very thin wash, which will just fill in the recesses. And then we'll not change the color too much. We can dry brush a little bit if we want to brighten the color back up once it dries. Okay. I think I'm gonna do the light blue on her as well. I should do that. Okay. So now I'm going to use, I'm going to take a drink first actually, and then I'll show you what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this strong tone now, and oh, how big is that mini? Yes, that I can show you. So here is, for example, one of the characters I just finished painting for Lord of the Rings. In comparison to, oops, sorry. It's like almost half the size. Yeah. And it's pretty heavy mini as well compared to these guys. Brought one of those down just as for comparison. Dan, what you're saying is exactly how I felt at first too. I find that some of the washes dirty up the mini too much. Maybe it's just me. No, I definitely thought that as well. And I think someone gave me the tip on one of our my first streams, I think, and they said to water it down more so that it's almost transparent, but it will darken in the recesses. So for example, this one, which we did add the darkest tone of wash, it's still wet. So again, it's not 100%, but you can see that it's just kind of emphasized the creases in the dress. And maybe it has darkened it a tad, but we can use some dry brushing to pull that back up. So if you find that's the case, that you find that they're too dirty-ish, try to water it down so it's almost transparent. Try that and see if that helps. Okay, so we're gonna use a strong tone and we're gonna do some of the browns and greens and actually probably almost everything else with this. Let's go back to this guy. Oh yeah, I think in comparison with this guy, because he's like one of the bigger ones. Like his little brother. Highlighting after DSDN, that will also help bring out some of the color, because what I try to do is, for example, this color, I would take this color and all the pieces that are raised up, so all the portions of the dress, for example, that are like raised up, not the indented parts, I would kind of paint a little bit more over top of that with that color so that it brings that out. I guess anything that the sun would hit, you would say like that too. But again, I'm still experimenting with all of that, which is kind of fun actually. So now we're just going to use this strong tone on any of the darker browns, greens, purple. Well, the purple, I did do the black and I think I'm happy with that, so that's fine. And I love the way this strong tone fills in on any kind of fur-like. It just gives it like a nice depth. I'll use this on the shoes as well. Do that. Actually, for his hair, for these two, I'm actually going to do the dark because their hair is very dark. And then for the ones with the brownish red, I'll use the strong brown tone. Okay, and I'm going to use this over his skin as well. We'll see if we can define the abs a little bit and the muscles. And the features of the face. As I said, I don't paint eyes usually, so sometimes when you use a wash on the face, you can get away without painting eyes. The wash kind of fills it in a little bit and darkens it up till I get better at that. And then as well, all of the hands and knuckles and I think he's pretty much washed. Obviously, we'll let him dry so then we can do some highlighting. Oh, we're just gonna actually get rid of all this extra that's pooled around the boots. So maybe I don't think I did his sword. There's a little bit of detail in the sword, so we'll just quickly do that as well. All right. He's good. Let's go on to this guy. This guy's almost done too. And again, we're gonna just do his face, pop out the features of the face and the ears. And this guy has a lot of wrinkles in the forehead, so that'll emphasize that a little bit as well. I think this guy's also, oh, I'm just actually gonna, sometimes when I hold it up to the camera, I can see things a little bit clearer. So we'll let him dry as well, and then we can do some highlighting on him. I'm happy with it so far. This girl is pretty much done. We're just gonna do the skin and the staff. And there's a little bit of hair, so. Okay. That small spot is bugging me, but I'll fix that later when I do some highlighting because I don't have that color out right now. But yeah, this little spot that I must have touched it. I'll fix that after. And then this girl's almost done as well. And then all those guys can dry. And we'll just do the hair again with that dark wash that we had previous. Frank, thank you for the kind words. Frank says that I'm doing better than Frank can, but I don't know. I'm sure you can do a great job as well. I think I'm my harshest critic, actually. I look at these and I'm like, oh, I could have changed this, or I wish this looked a little bit better. So anyone that hasn't painted or doesn't feel they're good at it, probably much better than you think. You're just a harsh critic of yourself. All right. I think she is ready for now. So we'll let these guys dry. We're going to bring this one back. Actually, no. Scratch that. We're going to just quickly dry brush this guy or wash this guy as well so we can work on these wings later. So we're going to do the strong tone on the wings. We're going to fill in all of the recesses, all of the in-betweens. I Dan, this is kind of like what you're talking about before. I don't necessarily know if I want to. I'm like nervous to wash the head because it's like pure white. I can maybe really water down some wash and see. I guess I could dry brush it to bring it back to the white, but I really like how white, because it kind of pops right now. But yeah, so I'm kind of nervous to do that, but we're going to definitely just quickly go over the wings right now and the body. Once these wings are dry, we're going to dry brush them to lighten them up and make them kind of look like feathers. And then we're going to highlight them to make certain spots pop. And I also haven't done the base for yet. Ian's asking, have I tried contrast paints? A little bit. Yes, a little bit. But I definitely need more experience with that. For this guy, for example, I took, so the back part is going to be kind of all crystal. So I'm going to try to make them like a blue that's going to kind of pop out. But I did take I have inks. So I took this ink and kind of painted him with that. So that's kind of where I go with contrast painting, but lots to experiment with that for sure. But I like the look of it for sure. And I think it definitely works on minis that are very textured. So for example, if the whole mini was kind of like the texture of the wings, I think that would look nice. I feel like it doesn't really work on flat surfaces as well, but I don't know. I'm just generously putting this all over. I'll just do under as well. Okay. So I will do the white. I am just going to, I think I'm just going to really water down the dark because I know I can get that almost be transparent. And we'll see if I have to dry brush it to bring it back up, then I will. Yeah, I probably will. But we'll see what it looks like when it dries. So we can just dry brush it matte white on the top so that we can bring it back to that. Actually not terrible, not terrible. So I've done this part here. And if you look at that compared to this bottom part, it's not that different. So I feel like it might dry okay. Okay, so we're gonna let this guy dry as well. So we can do some dry brushing on that. Okay. This guy going in a minute, but she's pretty close to being done. So we're just gonna, I'm just gonna flip this back around. And just gonna go back in with that bronze. Fan is blowing on my paints. Might be bad. I'm just gonna quickly go over over this bronze again, just because it darkens it up a little bit, and then we can't see the white through from the primer. Yes, Dan, I can dry brush that white again to make it pop as well. See once it dries. It didn't darken it as much as I thought, so we will do a dry brush on it to pop with the matte white for sure, but not, just need a little bit more of this one. Just gonna move this here so that the fan is blowing on my thing. I'm just gonna fix a little bit of mistake here. Okay. We're gonna do the boots brown, I believe. Let's do this leather brown. We'll do that for the boots. Frank's asking, when is it better to use a light primer as opposed to a dark primer? So what we try to do is base it on the colors of the mini that we're going to paint. So for example, this Dragon Mini, Rob painted primed red. because he's going to be red. So then I just took an ink and kind of filled in any gaps, because, you know, sometimes underneath you might see a spot. So just kind of took it over as a once over, quick. All of these minis we painted white because we want the colors to pop. So we paint, I guess, based on the color that we're painting the mini. So and for example, like this guy, we primed him white. He is going to look more rock. I'm going to dry brush him so he's not so dark. But because these gems on the back, I want them to kind of pop like a bright color. I didn't want to paint the whole mini black or dark and then have to try to paint these white and then hope that they're going to still pop. It was easier for me to paint him white and then ink the color-ish that I want, minus some dry brushing, to then lighten him up. So that's kind of how we decide. We just take a look at what kind of colors are they going to be when they're painted and go by that. I do like, for most characters, we tend to paint them white or gray. Those are just the easiest. But that's us, yeah. If anyone else has any advice for Frank on the colors you guys prime your minis, let him know in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna take where did I put it? I'm gonna take the gold and I'm gonna do the staff. I'm going to do the pockets or the bags that she has, as well as the wrap on the arm. So that gold is blending too much in with the bronze, so I'm actually going to paint it silver instead. Just so it stands out a little bit more. I'll just let that dry and then I'll paint it over silver. So I think other than a wash and some highlight and maybe fixing up a few mistakes, I think she's pretty good. So we're just going to let her dry. Except for one little spot I just saw when I did that on the boot. I missed the toe of one of the boots. So she is going to dry. Okay. I'm actually going to do a little bit of work on this guy now. So I'm gonna now pull up kind of my inspiration for what we want this guy to look like. So we are going for this kind of look. So he's already red. So we're gonna do the underbelly with like a skeleton bone kind of color, and then maybe some dark around the wings. I'm thinking of using like a dark wash for that effect. But this is kind of what I'm going for. This is like the inspiration that I'm going for, just so you guys know what I'm doing. So I have a color that is skeleton mode. I actually have two. I don't know if there's a difference. This one maybe looks a little bit lighter. So let's go with this one. So we're going to go with this skeleton bone all on the underbelly and the horns and that. So the belly will be lighter. Yes. Now this one, for some reason, is just a thicker paint and I just know that. So I'm just going to shake it up really well. And then I'll probably add a little bit of water to this as well. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it because it does kind of come out a little bit like floppy, just that one. Once you add a little bit of water, you can get to consistency that. So we'll do the first coat on this and then we'll see if we need to do another one. We'll see. And I'm just gonna try to follow the lines of the underbelly and, oh, you can see, okay, good. Just have a lot of paint on my brush, so I'm just kind of going slow right now. In the center, so then I'll go on the edges in a minute. You can see, okay, good. We will probably have to do 2 coats of this, I'm thinking. We're gonna use the same color on the horns and on all of the spikes of the wings as well. Oh, look what I just did. So here's a tip I learned. So I just made that mistake. I don't know if you can see where I touch my brush to the wing. So if you take a brush that just has some water on it, and you just, it has to be dry paint, not on wet paint, obviously, but you can just kind of use water and clear the paint away. That's a tip I learned. Liking the look of that so far. I'm also going to, oh, maybe I'll do the the nails are that are on the wings first, actually, before I do something else. Okay, that's what we got going on so far. And I just touched that. There we go. So next, I'm going to take a matte white that I have. So just a matte white. Just did it again. Sorry, one sec. Touching the spikes. Okay, so I'm going to take a matte white and one of my smallest brushes, which is this Army Painter one that does not have a size on it, but it is very, very, very tiny. Very tiny. And what I'm going to do is brush the teeth of him on the inside of his mouth. And I use the smallest brush so that I can be a little more precise. If I make a mistake, it's fine. We can easily fix the red, but just gonna... I find with these little brushes too, I can just kind of, I don't have to do like each individual tooth. I can just kind of run the brush over. And it kind of just does that. So it helps with the fine details so you don't have to do each individual tooth. And then we'll do the other side. And I find that they don't have to be perfect because we're going to put a wash in the mouth anyway, so, but at least kind of makes them stand out a little bit. I do also think I will do the tongue in like a pink, maybe. So maybe what I'll do really quickly is just take this intense pink. This one is an AK brand. It's intense modeling colors. I'm just going to take a tiny dab of that and then just put that on the tongue. And then we're going to let this guy dry. We probably need to do a second coat of that skeleton bone underneath just so that it kind of is a little bit see-through. So we'll just let him dry so we can do that. And that pink won't be as pink because we will darken it when we wash. But just to be different from the red and make the face kind of stand out a little bit more. Okay. So now we have this guy. I'll bring up what I'm kind of going for. Let me find my mouse. So we're kind of going for this kind of look. I think what I'll do is I'll do the red undergown and then maybe a blue or purpley. I don't know what I'm going to do with this fire. Maybe I'll just make the staff the fire and then not worry about the hand because he doesn't have anything coming out of his hand. Maybe I can just do in the center. I don't know about that, but we'll see. This is what I'm going for with this guy. Okay. So for the red, again, we don't want it to be bright red. It almost looks like it's a red with a little bit of a gold and a brown. So I'm going to kind of mix a color myself using those three things. We're going to use the pure red, we're going to use the oak brown, and the greedy gold. And we're going to kind of make a color that's going to be similar to what I'm hoping that will match. So I'm just going to take a little bit of each. We're going to mix them together and see what happens. And then I can add if needed. I can't even see what I'm doing. I'm going to add a little bit more gold to this. Okay. Okay, I'm liking it. And then we're going to just I don't like that brush. We're going to just do all under. All of the raised pieces I'm going to do in a different color. So we'll do all under. This is the gown that he's wearing. I usually paint the bases also dark, so if I get anything on the base, I'm not usually too worried. Okay, and then it looks like the sleeves are also this color. So it looks like the sleeves might be like this. Oh, so it's just the tie that's a different color. Okay. Start on the back, I guess. What brand and type of paint am I using? So I am using mainly Army Painter. I have a few Vallejo, and then a few AK, but everything except for the pink that I used on the tongue of the dragon has been Army Painter so far. And that is, when I initially started, I got a set of Army Painter. So that's just what I have the most of. And then as I continue painting different things, I find different colors that I might need, or I go somewhere that sells paints and I immediately go over and look at all of the amazing colors and the different shades of colors that I may not even need yet, and I start adding to my collection. So mainly Army Painter, but with a few Vallejo and AK brand mixed in. looking to see if I missed any obvious spots that I can fix now. Okay, awesome. So then I think we'll do a gray for his hair. Ash gray, this is what I'll use. This is the lightest gray that I have. And we'll just do his hair and his beard in this gray color. Okay, and then for his mustache, I'm gonna take again that tiny, tiny paintbrush that I have. This one, I didn't even clean it after I used it. I'm gonna take this paintbrush and I'm going to try to do a mustache. And I use, for fine things like that, I use this brush because I can make a little less mess. Okay, so I just am seeing a little bit of hair that I missed. I'm gonna fix that, and then we'll go on to the rest of his outfit. Almost looks like, it actually almost looks like a purple. Yeah, I think it almost looks more of a purple. So I'm going to use this Vallejo Violet color, but it's not the right color. This is not what I'm looking for. So I might mix it with a little bit of red. And see if that's kind of the color I'm looking for. Because I feel like this is, I'm not looking for purple per se. Let's add a little bit of the pure red to this. We'll see what we get. Okay. I'm happy with that. So it almost looks kind of like maroon-ish. Oh, Tim says, I'm going to blame you guys for buying all the supplies to his wife. Oh, no. Well, I hope you enjoy painting, at least if you do buy all the supplies. I got paint on his beard here, but I'm going to let that dry a bit and then we'll fix it so that I don't ruin it. Okay, so the staff, I'm going to do the oak brown, which is somewhere. Oh, right here. So I'm going to do the staff, the oak brown, which is kind of like a dark wood brown. But I'm not going to do the top piece. I'm not going to do this curve part because I'm going to make it look like fire coming out the top. Okay. I'm going to let him dry a little bit. We're going to go back to the dragon. Don't drop him. And we're going to do the second coat of the underbelly. Whoa. There we go. Okay. That looks better. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dark tone wash, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wash down the spine to darken that, and I'm going to put a little bit in the bottom portion of the wings. I may have to do this more than once to get the darkened effect that I want. So we'll do it once. We'll see what it looks like after it dries. And then we might do a second coat based on what it looks like. I'm just going to take a slightly bigger brush. Just looking at my reference picture here. I'll clean some of the excess that's pooling in the top in a minute. But this is kind of the look that I want. I wanted to darken the red, fill in between the spikes. I like doing it this way because then I find you can go over it multiple times to get the color or the darkness that you're looking for. You can see how it dries. You can add a little bit more and keep building on it. And sometimes I find it more natural because when you put the wash on, it kind of just spreads out a little bit. Versus sometimes when you put paint on, you might see the line that it made. And I don't want that. I want it to kind of just naturally darken. And then I'm going to put a little bit of this wash as well on the bottom of the wings. And I don't do it in a straight line, so it's even. I kind of just kind of make messy. And now I can tell already that it won't be dark enough the first time. So then I think what I'll do after this dries is then go on it again to darken. So we'll let that dry. Then we'll probably put another coat on it, darken the bottom. But I probably won't put it on the whole thing. I'll probably just put it in specific areas as well. We'll see what happens, how dark it looks once that's done. Okay. So I want to bring some of these guys back now that have been washed. So we can do a little bit of dry brushing, highlighting, that kind of thing on them. Just taking a peek if there's anything that I want to fix before I do that. Okay. So I was mentioning at the beginning of the stream that I picked up these makeup brushes just from the dollar store for dry brushing. Again, I have different sizes and shapes so that I can dry brush different areas or get into smaller areas, depending on what I'm dry brushing. So let's start with this guy, and this guy, since they're similar. Well, not necessarily similar colors, but they do have like the same back thing and golds, and yeah, so we'll just do those two together, and then these two are similar colors, so we can do those two together. So I have a fresh napkin. So again, I'm not a pro. I just kind of do whatever I think looks good. So like if I think it looks okay, I just stop. If I think I need to keep going, I keep going. So again, it's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to start with, I usually dry brush with matte white, gray, and then I do highlighting with the colors that I painted with. But again, I'm not a pro. This is just what I do. I don't even think I didn't even dry brush that guy to show you. So I'm going to put the paint, I don't want to put the paint on the wet palette. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the napkin, and then I'll grab from that. Because I don't want it to be watery. So I just take my paint on my brush, and then I try to get almost all of it off the brush. So almost to where I can't see that there's any more paint left. And then when I think I'm there, I even put it on my hand. So to see if I don't see any white streaks, because I don't want to start dry brushing and then see a big streak of white on the mini. So, oops. So I didn't see anything. And then I just start going over. And that's even too much, I would probably say. So even though I couldn't really see that there was any paint, you can see that I can, if what I do is if I'm not happy with it, especially once I put the first stroke on, if I'm not happy with it, I'll dry brush it back with the same color that it was, so I can fix it if it's too much. And then I'm just gonna go over the hair as well. I find it just makes things stand out a little bit. Sometimes it makes it look a little bit more worn as well, so it's not so perfect. And then sometimes too, I find if I feel I was a little heavy-handed with the dry brushing, when we varnish all of our minis before we play with them, sometimes I find that kind of mats it down a little bit as well, so it doesn't look as bad as I thought. So again, I would gladly take tips and tricks or advice that you have on dry brushing. Oh, Dan. Dan says, I remember the first time I dry brushed and forgot to actually take the paint off the brush. My head almost exploded. Yeah, I don't think I ever forgot to take the paint off the brush, but I had way too much paint on. So the first time you go through and it's like, pff, it just like fully paints your spot white or whatever color you were dry brushing. Yeah. But it's a learning lesson, right? You never do that again. I was afraid actually to dry brush for the longest time. I do like the way it looks, and then you can use highlighting. Sorry, you can use highlighting as well to bring things out, which is awesome. Again, I'm not perfect with it, and I just kind of go over what, kind of just until I feel like it looks good, and then I stop if I'm happy with it. Okay, so that's this guy with a little bit of dry brush on it. You can definitely see like the detail that pops out in the fur around the boots. You can see that it pops out a little bit. Sorry, I'm trying to point. Like on the sash part of, you know, and it does look more white holding it up to the camera. But when I look at it at eye level, I don't see it doesn't look as white like that, but it does pop it out. And then I can take some paint and I can even highlight areas as well. But I'm definitely super happy with the way that came out. I think he looks great. And it's crazy how much a little bit of dry brushing can just change the look of the mini. Like even if I just did, oops, sorry. I'll dry brush this guy and then I'll hold him up again so that you can see if you can tell a difference. But even if you look at the fur on the back of this guy and the fur on the back of this guy, I don't know. Again, it does look a little bit more white on the camera, but you can see that just the difference. I just like it, the way it makes things pop. So I will leave it to the side. I will do a little bit of highlighting on that once we're done, but Tim, thank you so much. Thank you. I also like how dry brushing can lighten up colors. If you feel like they were a little bit too dark, you can lighten them up with a little bit of dry brush. I don't want to do too much on the face, but I definitely want to pop out all of the lines that he has. One second. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on that because I feel like that is a big white spot that is. Okay. I can fix it. But the lines in his face even pop out once you put a little bit of dry brush on. Definitely looks better to my naked eye than when I hold it up to the camera all big like that. And then I usually for certain games like this kind of game, Lord of the Rings, I will try to do a little extra dry brush on the feet and the boots just to make them look worn as well. I like this one again because this is a thin one, so I can get into the spaces with the brush as well. I also like makeup brushes too because they're really soft. Okay. Okay, so that is this guy. You can definitely see a few spots that I can definitely highlight to make. Happy with this guy as well. Hello. Okay. Oh, I guess I could show you before as well of this one. So before she has any, oh, sorry. Any dry brushing, other than a little bit on the hair I just did. And we'll see what. This is definitely a part that I'm still work in progress at, but I do love experimenting with every game that I paint. I experiment more and more with different things. And this is one of them. When I do dresses or like sashes or anything, I like to go kind of softly against the grain, kind of like this, so that it'll only get picked up on the higher ends or higher spots, so that if I go up and down with the dress, I don't want it to dry brush all inside. I just kind of want it to pop up the points that stick up. So kind of go side to side instead of up and down. Stuart, thank you. Says Mel, the minis will look great on the table. Thank you so much. Thank you. We will be playing on Sunday. I'm excited. Set your reminders if you have not. Come and join us. We'll see some of these minis in action. We don't know what characters we're playing yet, so but every character will be ready, so we'll have the choice of whoever we want. So that's good. Now I usually do the same thing on the bases as well once I dry brush them, if they're rocks or buildings or whatever the case may be. So I would do the same thing, but I think I need to go over them again one more time. So I'm just going to do that off stream and then dry brush those before Sunday. And then for the collar here, what I'm going to do is just kind of go up and make it so that it almost looks like it highlights the edge a little bit. And then we can also highlight that with paint as well. Tim's asking, what time zone are we in? We are in Eastern time zone. So right now it is 9:26 p.m. So the only thing I think I need to do with this girl is I want to actually, dry brush a little bit more on the bottom of the dress, because in the images, it kind of blends out to a lighter color. So I want to do that. And then she also, I'm just peeking, she also has, yeah, her eyes are just like a bright blue, I think. So I can do that as well. That'll fix the eye socket. Oh, Tim, you're gonna have to set your alarm for Sunday. Oh, I'm sorry. It's noon Eastern time on Sunday. Stuart says, your painting skills has improved. It's funny to see what a little practice can do. Exactly. I find that very much. Every game, I feel like I get a little bit better, or I learn something new that helps for the future. So I appreciate also the tips from you guys. As I said, I haven't read everything that you guys have been saying in the chat, so I will go back through and see if you have any comments or tips for me just to help me improve. I would appreciate anything. And also, if you're watching later, leave them in the comments for me, and I will definitely use them going forward. Oh, you meant set the alarm so you don't miss it. Yes, yes, yes. Set the reminder, you mean. Sorry. Yes, turn on the notifications. I get it. Okay. I like that. Kind of just lightens up bottom. And again, you can go as much or as little with this step as you like. It's all kind of personal preference. Just while I'm doing that, I think the lightest blue I have is this Void Shield blue. So I'm going to just take a little tiny bit of this and put this in the eye sockets. And then we can say that she's pretty much done as well. So again, I'm going to take my super, super fine, you can barely even see the bristle on this one, or the hair on this one. Okay. I'm gonna not shake while I do this. It's a little bit scary. We'll see if we can take a little bit of water with another brush and see if we can fix it, because I don't have the color out from the skin to fix it. So we'll just see if we can fix it with a little bit of water. Okay, let's see what that looks like. It's gonna look scary when I hold it. Oh, okay, it's not so bad. Okay, I think I fixed it. So she's pretty much done. There might be a little bit of highlighting that I could do, and again, the basing, but I'm very happy with this one as well. I think it looks great. Not the same blue that this is driving me bonkers. Now, I think I made this color, which is a problem. So I'm going to just get as best I can I can fix that. Oh, Sean has kind words and says, "Thank you, Mel and Rob. You do it so well. It's fun to learn new games and now paint. We've all learned lots from you and Rob. Thank you for running with us. Be encouraged, Mel. Keep it up." Thank you so much. That is very sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is not going to be a 100% match, but it's going to do the trick. So it's better. Okay, so now let's do some dry brushing on her. Where did I lose my brush to? I don't even think I have any paint left. So again, just dry brushing with matte white. Excuse me. I also like having multiple dry brushes so that, because I don't want to wet this to clean the paint off. Not until I'm done and cleaning up for the night. So I have multiple brushes. So if I did want to dry brush something in another color, I can do that with a different brush so that I don't have to wet this brush at all. So again, I'm just going against the green so that it can pop things out and the recesses out. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like this one is the most boring of all of them. I don't know if it's just because it's just like a plain dress. Here we go. I'm noticing that I completely forgot to paint this part. So I think I'll just paint it one of these color, like a gold that I have here. Which is almost drying because my fan, and then I'll just fix that up later, but I realized that I missed a spot. Okay. So that looks good. So now I'm just gonna actually do like this. So these guys are now all done. Let's do a little bit of dry brushing on this guy. I think it can fit in one of these folders. Yep. Okay. So for this one, I don't want to do a white dry brush. I think what I want to do is a lighter brown than the brown that I painted him. Because I want it to also lighten the color. Do I have this one? I do. Okay, one second. Let's go here and I'll show you. So it's a lot lighter than what I painted it. So I want to lighten it, but I don't want it to be that light. I still want it to kind of be darker. But so I think I'm going to go with a lighter brown as a dry brush first. Maybe on top after that I'll put a white, but we'll see what it looks like after I do a lighter brown dry brush and see what happens if it lightens it up to a color that I want it to be. So okay, so I think I've kind of a couple options here, which I think I have fur brown, but I think this is more of like a red brown, and that's not what I'm going for. I want it to be more of like a yellow brown, which is more of like these colors. The leather, we can see the leather brown is kind of like this color, which I like. And then the monster brown, I think, is more of like this color. I think this is more of the color that I want to try for. So maybe we'll go with that first and then we'll see. So I'll go with the monster brown on this. We'll see what it looks like as we start dry brushing it. Okay, and then for this one, I probably can just use the same. No, I don't know if I'm going to want to do the white again. So using a different brush than the one that I used before. This one, you can kind of see if you still have paint. When I use the white and I'm brushing the paint off on a white paper towel, I can't tell. But at least with this one, you can kind of see when you've almost run out of paints, which is good. Drew, hello. Thank you for the kind words. So again, I'm going to go against grain. So I'm going to hold them upside down and then I'm just going to kind of go like up. I don't even actually think this is going to change the color enough. But I think it's going to be okay. I like the look of the dark. So with this one, I'll be able to do one side and not the other side. So you can see kind of a difference as well. Okay, let's look and see what that looks like. What side did I do? This side. So I did this side. It does lighten it up a little bit, which I like actually. And then as compared to this side. So you can see that there is a difference when you use the dry brushing just to pop that out. Pop out the feathers a little bit. So I probably will do, maybe I'm going to go one more coat over this side. See if I can lighten it a little bit more, and then we'll go all over with that. Brian, hello. Says looks good. Thank you. Yeah, actually, maybe I should lay these down. Is that better to see? I don't know. They're not. I don't know. Hard to tell either way. Stuart says dry brush side looks better. Thank you. Yes, I like it. Yeah, I think dry brushing on any kind of animal that has any kind of feathers or fur or anything definitely makes it look awesome. I think I painted like a bear and like a tiger or a lion for a game. I can't remember now, but I definitely find that dry brushing on any kind of fur looks awesome. Fur or feathers. Where did I put it? Over here? And again, you just kind of, I think you just kind of go till you feel it looks okay. And then you can stop. Now I'll do the inside. And then after I'm done this, I will do a quick white dry brush on the head, just to bring out the feathers on the head and to, if there's any dark spots from the dark wash, that'll help. And then a little bit on the tail, there's a little puff on the end of the tail. Okay. I think that looks good. I like that. I'm just gonna do the head as well with the white. And then for this bird, I would like to put some sort of dark eye, not black. So I'm going to do this Necromancer's Cloak, which is kind of like a dark gray. I want it to be black. Just want to put a... Dan says, make sure with dry brushing, sometimes it feels too thick. I feel like I'm covering up all my hard work. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's like a balance, right? I guess you have to find. I'm gonna try to do this other eye, but it's kind of hard to get in here. It's like behind the wing a little bit, so you won't be able to see, but... Okay, I need to fix this a little bit here. Can't really, oh, can't even really see that. Hold on. Maybe it would have been better black. You can barely see it. Anyways. That is the griffin. So all I really need to do on this one is just a quick paint of the base, and I like to use that same color I was using for the eyes, the Necromancer's Cloak. I like it because it's not black, but it is still kind of dark, so it kind of is like this color. This is what I've done those in. So then I can dry brush them. They kind of look like rock-ish a little bit. So then this guy's pretty much almost done as well, just minus I just have to do the base. So again, we got her to almost done. We just need to do a wash and dry brush as we just did. Same with him, as well as just some things. The only thing is I want to do one quick thing. I want to do just the fire on the staff because I think it's really cool. However, I just have to run to grab some, maybe I don't. Can I use this orange? Maybe I can try with this orange. So I just take my brightest of red, yellow, and orange. I'm going to show you how I do it. But again, there might be a trick to this as well. And I take a dab of each one so that I'm ready. Because you kind of have to mix them while they're wet. The way that I do it anyways. I don't know if that's even enough. That little dab I just did. And I like to do it on white. So if it was on something that was primed a different color, I would paint it, the area that I'm going to do fire, white first. I also put them pretty close together. Oh, this is going to be liquidy, I think. This one is not working. So let's... I have a clog in that one. Okay. Okay, so what I usually do is I take the yellow first and I kind of build up from the yellow. New subscriber, Mike, thank you. Welcome, welcome. Hello. So just do that. Now, while that is wet, I will take the orange. So you can clean your brush or you don't have to. I just did just out of habit, but I would take some orange and I just kind of start like blending it in. So as you can see that it's starting to change color a little bit. And you can keep doing this. If you think it's too orange, you can add more yellow back. And I just mix it. So while it's wet, and I kind of do more of like a dab than a stroke, so that it mixes and it kind of has a little bit of a contrast, so that it's how do I say it? Like it's not, I'm not fully mixing the two colors together. I'm just kind of picture like finger painting when you're just kind of like mixing the colors all on top of each other, but you don't want to change the color per se, because I want to still be able to see the yellow through the orange. And then from there, I build on that with red. And then sometimes I have to go back on the red if the red is too dark and then lower it with some orange. Yeah, so now I'll mix the red with that because it's, or with adding more orange because it's still a little too red. I need more orange. Where'd it go? You want, for me, I like it to be kind of messy. So, especially too when it dries, it'll dry. It's kind of like what it's looking like right now. I mean, it's not 100% fire, but kind of gives the illusion, I guess. I'm gonna add a little bit more red though to it on this other side. And usually I also, once I dry brush it, or sorry, once I wash it, then sometimes I'll add a little bit more of red or red dry brush. And then you can put like a little black around the edge if you want. So again, it's not perfect for fire, but this is just how I do it. Give the illusion of fire. I'm just going to kind of go down the staff a little bit so that it's, looks like it's coming up. And then he had a little, like a fireball coming out of the palm. So I think for that, all I'm going to do is take the yellow to start. Sorry. The staff is on fire. Thanks, Dan. It's gonna be harder to see on the hand, but do my best. No, I need to add a little bit more red, I think, to the hand. I think it looks too orange. Okay. Happy with that. Okay. So for this guy, I'm just going to do, a gold belt and clasp that's holding the hood. And then he is ready for just, again, a wash and dry brush. This guy just needs some shoes or something. Let's go with, do I have anything that's not dried out? No. Let's just go with the leather brown. Oh, Mike says, make me want to break out my minis and paint tonight. LOL. Nice. Nice. What would you paint if you were to paint tonight? What game are you in the process of painting? Halfway done, or halfway through Forbidden Fortress. Awesome. Okay, so these guys are ready for a wash. So these are the ones that we painted today. So they're ready for a wash, but I will do that off stream. This is our dragon. So now that that dark wash is dry, I just kind of want to peek at it. We'll see how it's looking. I think we need to do a second coat for sure, but I definitely like the look of it already, especially down the spine of the dragon with just the dark wash and just one coat. But see how like we can see on this side that it is still kind of red is still peeking through. It's not maybe as dark in some spots. So I'm going to go over it one more time real quick, but I definitely like, especially like around the bottom of the tail. I think that looks real good. And then even the wings, I'll do one more coat on them and like in areas like this and this one, see where it's kind of, and then after I'm done that, I'm just wondering, I'll just do a basic wash on him, I think, but not in the areas that I've dark washed. So again, that I'm using the dark tone. I'll just do one more coat on that. That does make a big difference. Thank you, Frank. Yeah. I like it because it's not as dark as a paint, and the way it kind of just flows into the recesses and looks more natural than if I paint it, it'll look more like a line. So I like doing like this if I'm trying to just darken like a little area. And it kind of looks a little more natural too, in my opinion. So, but you may have to go over it multiple times to get the color that you're looking for. That's going to darken that up a little bit more. Just drying this here. So I actually will just do a quick wash on her because I have everything out. So, I'm going to use the dark wash on all of the bronze, the gold, and the metals as well. I just like the look of it. Okay, and then I'm going to use the strong tone that I already have out for the boots and hair. Oh, Jamos, hello, hello. It's been a while. How have you been? Oh, Frank, no problem. Says I love to keep watching, but I have to work in the morning. No problem. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for hanging out, asking your questions. I'm going to go with the soft tone for the green and the skin. Jamos. No, have not talked Rob into that. I don't know that I'm the one that talks him into games necessarily. Fantastic. says he's got to run as well. Thank you, thank you. I'm almost done here. I wasn't going to do this one, but I had all the stuff ready, so I just did. But yeah, we're pretty much wrapping up here anyways. Okay, and then just one thing and one last thing I did not do, and I will forget if I don't do it now. So I just noticed the armband. I did not do. I'm just going to quickly do a silver around it here. Awesome. So that's what she looks like right now, with just a wash, obviously still wet, so it's not going to look perfect, but pretty good. Happy with that. So we're pretty much almost ready to play this game, which is awesome. So again, we have these 4 characters, which are all ready to go. These guys have been washed, they've been dry brushed, they're all ready to go. So we have that one. Remember all their names, I'm sorry. This little dwarf guy. She's ready. And then this one is all done as well. We have our griffin. So I'll just paint up the base a gray and he's good. Again, she just needs a dry brush once she's all dry. And she's ready to go. We got our guy with the flaming sword or flaming staff. He'll just need a wash and dry brush as well. He's all good to go. And then our dragon, who is still drying. You can still see that it's still a little wet, obviously, inside the recesses. But this is what we have so far for the dragon. I don't think I need to do another coat on that. But again, he's still wet. Just want to try to fix that. Okay. Again, he's still wet, so I have to let him dry and then do some dry brushing on him and then just do the rock base. And then he's good to go. And then I apologize, the only thing I didn't get to was this guy. So for this guy, I'm just going to use something like this blue on all of the crystals. And then I'll also dry brush them white after I wash him. So unfortunately, that's the only thing I did not get to. But everyone else is almost done or very, very close to done. So I'm happy with that. I'm excited. So yeah, that's awesome. Janet has to go as well. Thank you so much. We're wrapping it up now anyway, so that's all good. Thank you so much. Thank you again to everybody that was here watching. Again, I didn't get to see all of the chat, so I'll go back and watch or read what I missed. Thank you to everybody that was asking questions and to the chat that was helpful to answer. That's awesome. Yes, thank you, thank you. Wow, that was fun. That's fun. And I'm happy because we're so close now to having it ready. I think I just need a few more hours and I can definitely have this ready for Sunday. So yeah, that's awesome. Make sure that you are set your reminder for that stream at noon Eastern on Sunday, where we'll be playing this game, and I'll show off if I'm able to finish this rock mini. I don't know if we need him for the first scenario, but if I'm able to finish him, we'll show him off on that stream, so you can see. But yes, thank you so much to everybody that was watching. Thank you to you watching later. Again, please leave comments below if there is any tips that you have for me, any answers to anybody's questions in the chat. Yeah, because there were some great questions that were brought up. So that is that's awesome. Thank you again to all of the members of the channel and the Patreon members. Your support is so appreciated. We really appreciate it. But yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream, and I will try to do more of them because it was fun. Yeah, that's all I got for you tonight. Have a great night, and I'll see you in the next stream. Bye.